Hello everybody, this is Iced Blood. Welcome back to Bioshock. In today's video we're going to explore the Medical Pavilion. Our goal eventually, of course, is to find our way into Neptune's bounty, there we go, to find Atlas's family. But first, we have to find the emergency access route, which... let's see, there's a door, according to that hint, and we have to hack the security bot that's blocking it. And hey, what do you know, there's a security bot right there. Let's see, he's got some pistol rounds in him. Apparently he's been in a firefight recently. I'm not sure, maybe he's just keeping it on him for some reason. Okay, so this is the hacking minigame. Basically, you reveal tiles, and you switch around the pipes until you get it to make the proper path from one end. For like in this first one, the entry point is basically on the far left in the middle, and you can see that bright greenish bluish liquid. And then where it needs to go is down there at the bottom, second to the right. And you see the little arrow heading down. That's where it needs to go. If you don't, if for some reason the liquid gets blocked, the machine will short circuit and you have to start over. So this is a relatively simple mini game, and I have discovered, because even though this is my first playthrough, I have actually played through this section before, just because I ended up having some issues with the video footage and I ended up having to start over. So there are some skills, some plasmids and stuff that you can get to make the hacking minigame even easier. I believe one of the main ones is what it does is makes the liquid travel slower, and because of that you have more time to set up the pipes. Right here we have some machine gun rounds, and that should tell you we're probably going to pick one up soon. These diaries, they're audio logs, and they're kind of like the documents that we found in Resident Evil. They basically tell the backstory from various points of view in various sections. The issue with them, and the prime reason that I'm just talking over it, is because they're audio, and of course we've discovered the subtitles aren't exactly optimal in this game, and that makes it pretty hard to follow. And the audio will continue playing at its default volume even if you're in the middle of a fight. So right now, for example, we found it and there was a splicer fight going on, you know, just up these stairs, and that made it almost impossible to really hear it. So what I'm going to do, instead of letting the audio play, I'm just kind of going to go over what the diary talked about once we find him. So that one right there, that was from a guy named Steinman, and what he was talking about was the nature of surgery and how it changed when Steinman found Andrew Ryan and thus Adam. Remember, the genetic material that keeps Rapture going, according to what Atlas told us. Adam apparently made it easier for surgery to take place. Plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, gender reassignment surgery, pretty much anything you can think of to alter the human body, Adam makes it easier to do. And we've already kind of seen that based on the fact that we can now shoot lightning out of our fingers. And it looks like now we have to confront Dr. Steinman in order to get the key and exit the Medical Pavilion and hopefully find Neptune's bounty. So we're already starting to kind of get a feel for what happened in this place. And basically, I mean, of course, the obvious answer to a lot of this is that people went nuts. I mean, we can kind of see that all these people. It's not like we're like for example, there was a slight. There's usually in a lot of games there's kind of this idea that we're not necessarily in the right if we just go around rampantly murdering people. It's just that, you know, games have taught us to do that kind of thing. And you know, mentioning my previous LP, Resident Evil 4, just in case any of you are coming straight to this and you don't know, what I was up to before this one. That one, I mean, yeah, okay, everybody's pretty hostile, but for the most part, it still kind of felt like our character was infiltrating this place. He was not supposed to be there. There was a sort of a feeling of, I don't know how to phrase this exactly, because it's not necessarily true. Because, of course, the story behind that game involves a kidnapped politician's daughter, the president's daughter, actually. You know what? Never mind. The whole point here is that in some games, you might run into a situation where it's like, I feel bad for killing all these people, and I shouldn't do it, and what's wrong with me? But in this one, it's not really, that's not really the case, because this is pure self-defense. I mean, let's go over what's happened so far, okay? We were in a plane, and it crashed, and we were probably the only survivor. Found a lighthouse. The lighthouse had an elevator. We went down the elevator. Now we're here in this place called Rapture. And we go in there, and we're trying to figure out what to do, and we run into people called splicers, and they want to murder our face. I mean, there's really we can't. Granted, there's no diplomacy button on the controller that we can use to talk sense into these people, but you kind of get the feeling, okay, just looking around at this, these people aren't going to listen to reason. They're not going to help us out. They're not going to, give us a chance to explain ourselves. So we really have no choice but to fight them. And so you might wonder, well, okay, what happened? Like, I mean, Andrew Ryan in his little, his manifesto before we entered into the actual city, when we were still in that still in that elevator. He was talking about how, this was a place for, people to embrace their own desires and their own aspirations without, interference, right? So it's supposed to be a utopia. It's supposed to be Atlantis, right? So what the hell happened? Well, that's kind of the whole thing, isn't it? That's kind of a common theme. So what happened? Well, okay. This game is modeled after a few things. And right here, this is another one from Steinman, talking about how, as your tools improve, and I'm guessing what he's talking about is Adam, your standards improve too. So he's no longer satisfied doing, like, standard cosmetic surgery and removing warts and changing noses. He's not content to do that kind of stuff anymore because, well, with Adam he can do so much more, right? He can achieve perfection, and so that's what he's going to do. So the idea behind what's happened to Rapture is kind of tied to the philosophy that kind of built it. By which I mean the lead designer for this game, Ken Levine, has talked about, in interviews and other things like that, like the impetus for this game's development and what it represents. And he's mentioned that he has a liberal arts degree and he's read a lot of dystopian fiction. And one of the big ones that he mentions is, of course, George Orwell's 1984, and another one that I haven't found a direct quote from him about this one yet, but I know that Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged is a big, big influence. And there's a lot to that book, and I have read it once in college. I'm not going to go into exactly like how. In this video, there's not enough time for me to go into specifics on just how many different things from that book have made it into this game. But the basic idea behind Ayn Rand's novels and her philosophy, which is known as objectivism, it's the pursuit of rational self-interest. Okay, so the concept is basically this. We as individuals have a single moral imperative to our existence, and it is our personal happiness. That's it. Okay, so a lot of modern philosophy, a lot of modern, religions or governmental systems. There's a lot of what do you want to call it? There's a lot of emphasis on helping everyone, on helping the less fortunate, and feeding the hungry, and pursuing charity as a means of self-worth and as proof of one's ability to be a part of society. And that's kind of the moral imperative of a lot of modern societies. It involves the pursuit of prosperity for everyone. Prosperity without detriment to other people, I guess, is the concept. And of course, that's whenever we talk about rich people, there's usually this social narrative that rich people get rich on the backs of the poor, and that they should be ashamed of themselves, and how dare they do these sorts of things. And I'm not going to get into a debate on whether or not that's right or wrong or whatever. That's not my point here. The point here is to kind of talk about what Ayn Rand believed, and thus probably what Andrew Ryan believed, which is that has nothing to do with it. Okay? So we don't, as individuals, we don't have to worry about others. That's not our problem. Okay? So my life should be entirely focused on my personal happiness. That's the concept, right? And I should not feel morally obligated to help other people. If I decide that I want to help others, my family, my friends, other people that I respect, if I decide from my personal viewpoint that I want to do that, okay, that's fine, but I should not be obligated. I should not feel like I have to help others, right? And if we allowed an entire society of people to feel that way and act that way and live that way, which would imply very heavy laissez-faire styled capitalism. Okay? Now, laissez-faire honestly just means that the government, the overarching government, is as minimalistic as possible. And for the vast majority of any situation, the people, individuals, are in charge of everything. Commerce, business, personal, how we act in a given situation, that's all on us. We decide those things, and the government has no say in the matter. Okay? So, like, if you look at what Andrew Ryan was talking about in the beginning, in the first episode, when he was going into that little manifesto about what rapture was, he was talking about how scientists would not be bound by petty morality, or how, a man is entitled to the sweat of his brow. That's kind of what that's getting into. So the idea here is that in rapture, the people were given leave to govern themselves, and through that, we could have reached a utopian society where everyone prospered and everyone was, allowed their own personal goals without interference, simply because we were given leave to do it ourselves. Since the government wasn't involved in trying to help us, we were able to help ourselves, and that's how society should be run, right? Of course, the problem here is that we, as people, we don't know how to handle these sorts of things, and we screwed it up. There's a quote from Ken Levine talking about how the idea is that these are, quote, really good ideas screwed up by the fact that we're human, or by the fact that we're people. I'm not sure exactly how he phrased it, but anyway, that's the point here. We could have had utopia, we fucked it up. Oh. Alright, well, okay, Atlas just told us we need to find some telekinesis. We're going to do that next time. Hope you enjoyed my manifesto on objectivism. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.